Diagrita cordia agus tá anna fáilte rós go Google agus go baile ácha clia. Shane Nolan is an dum agus tá súlagum go buine sibh anna tatnamh as an grunne sin mobilisation. Now, I think two people just understood what I just said there. So that was in Irish to welcome you to Dublin, welcome you to Google. My name is Shane Nolan, as Marie said. I run our UK and Ireland team. And I'm thrilled to welcome you to and see so many people here from so many different countries around our EMEA region. I have a very easy job here this morning. I have to formally welcome you, which I'm doing. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about Google Dublin, because I know many of you have not been to this site here before. And then I'll just give a very brief context and scene setting for agenda over the next 2 days. Okay, so Google Dublin, we think this is a very, very special place. This is our EMEA headquarters. It's our largest office outside of the US, so it's quite a big operation from us. And you can see from the pictures behind me, we have several thousand Google employees working here, coming from 65 countries, speaking 67 languages. So it's extremely diverse in terms of the mix of people we have here. And it's that diversity that creates the kind of unique energy and vibrancy we have on campus. And many visitors who come here, they generally say three things. One, that this site has the buzz of a startup, it has the scale of a multinational, and it has the diversity of the United Nations. So I hope you all get to experience that over the next couple of days. So what do we do here in Google Dublin? Well, we have quite a large engineering team here, about 500 engineers based here. They perform a very important function for Google globally in terms of our data center. They do many things. One of the main things they would do is look after our data centers. So if you think about the last time you clicked onto google.com and the site was down, it hasn't happened. That's down to the team here in Dublin. So they're responsible for keeping google.com and all our Google properties up and running, which is obviously quite an important job. But the main function we have here, the main kind of predominance of Google employees is around our sales and operations team, where we look after all of our customers across the EMEA region in 100 different countries across 40 different languages. So what we do is every day we speak to thousands of customers and we just help them get the most out of the web by using digital technology. So customers like these, we have created a website called our Growth Engine Story. This was predominantly created for our friends in Brussels and the European Union to demonstrate the power of the internet as a growth engine, as a tool in which we can actually create jobs and employment. So this is a website created with 1,000+ companies around Europe who are actually testimonying around the fact that the internet is a great job creator. So these 1,000 companies here, big and small, are all managed by a Google employee based here in the Dublin office. So if you do get time after the event to have a look at this website, just Growth Engine, if you Google it, you'll see it. But there's some fantastic stories from each of your own countries to show what we do here. So as well as our existing customers, we also spend a lot of time with the startup community. So even just last week in this very room where you're sitting now, we had 300 startups come here for our second Adopt a Startup initiative. So in that initiative, we get the startups to come here and we pair them with a Google employee over the course of 6, 9, 12 months, whatever is agreed. And that relationship is down to mentor the startup and to get them up and running in those critical early days. And that's an example of a wider outreach we have to the startup community. And many of you from various countries might have heard of our Google Campus program, where we actually have created a startup hub where startups can come and base their operation in a Google building and for the first couple of years and get their operation up and running, again, through using Google tools and getting free advice to Google. And we have campuses set up in London, Warsaw, Tel Aviv, and Madrid, with more to come as well. So that gives you a flavour of kind of the core kind of role behind what we do here in Google Dublin. So mobilisation. So why are we here to talk about mobilisation? Why do we have a 2-day event talking about mobile? Well, as I say, every day we talk to thousands and thousands of customers around Europe. And there's one single theme, there's one single common persistent theme. The biggest disruptor we've seen to our business in 17 years of being business in Google, which is the mobile phone, the mobile device. This device that we now check 150 times per day. Do you realize that? It's kind of crazy. But it is, as I say, the single biggest disruptor to our business, but also the single biggest opportunity. So we receive thousands of searches on google.com every minute, every second. In fact, we've had 23,000 searches since I just clicked this button for this slide. And what we're seeing is more and more of these searches are coming through on a mobile device. And in many of our larger markets, we are now seeing that queries from mobile devices have now outstripped queries from desktop devices. And in countries such as Japan, that switchover has happened quite some time ago. But when we're talking to our businesses around Europe and our customers, it's very clear that businesses are struggling to adapt to this new mobile world. I think businesses are generally aware of it, but we're seeing all sorts of challenges for businesses in terms of how can they keep up the pace with the new mobile world. How do you track the consumer journey? How do you track the journey over multiple devices? How do you track it? How do you measure it? How do you attribute against it? Where do apps come in, etc.? And we're seeing many, many indicators of where the business community, by and large, is struggling to keep up the pace. And this is just one indicator I would use, is that less than 50% of businesses in Europe have a mobile site infrastructure of any description, which is a very, very clear indication that while, again, I say the businesses get the fact that the consumers are now online and we need to mobilize as our business, businesses generally are still struggling to keep up the pace with it. So businesses are behind, but therein lies the opportunity for us all into how we can exploit this opportunity. So we're going to be talking to you a lot about mobile over the next 2 days, but I think it's important, just as I set the scene here, just to step back a little bit and understand what's the wider context of technology and where we see technology going. And this slide is how we talk about this in Google in terms of how we see the world going, and it frames the kind of mobile conversation and other conversations, I think, quite well. So what we're seeing is three main things. The world is changing. We have 7.3 billion human beings on the planet today. Of those, 2.5 billion are connected to the internet, about 35, 36%. Over the next 5 to 7 years, through innovations in access technology, some of it driven by Google, some by others, the remaining 5 billion people will be coming online. And those people will be coming online primarily through a mobile device. So you just think about that, 5 billion people coming online. As human beings, we've never seen a rate of technology adoption like this that we're going to see in the next 5 to 7 years. So this is something that is unprecedented. It's something that excites us. It gets us quite worried and nervous because we're not quite sure what these 5 billion people are going to do, but that's what gets us excited about the opportunity ahead of us. So the world is changing. Secondly, technology is changing. You just look at the agenda in your agenda packs and you can see we have 2 days to discuss the fast pace of change that mobile is driving. So we know that the rate of technology change is relentless, and it's going to continue to be so over the coming years. And thirdly, people are changing. Now, actually, people aren't changing, but I actually think but our behaviors definitely are changing. And they're changing in 3 different ways: the way in which we access information, the way in which we consume entertainment, and the way in which we do our shopping. To give you an example on the last part, in the UK, 5 years ago, if you were buying a first new car or a second-hand car, you would do 7 visits to a showroom on average, roughly about 7 to 7.5. Today, the average visit to a showroom when buying a new car is down to 1.5. Yet car sales are up about 30-40% in that same time. So our path to purchase has fundamentally changed forever. So it stands to reason, so fast, unpredictable change is here, and it's going to remain. And it stands to reason that if you want to grow your business, you have to exceed the pace of change. If the world, if technology, if your consumers and customers are growing faster and changing faster than you, there's absolutely a real danger to be left behind. On the flip side, if you're agile, if you're adaptable to change, there is an amazing opportunity ahead of you all. And that is precisely what we're here to discuss over the next 2 days, how we can all jointly exploit and explore the opportunity that mobile presents. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful 2 days, and thank you for listening.